Thank you everyone for joining our session on accounting. We're so excited to discuss with you the state of the short-term rental industry and as we're preparing for the travel's full recovery. And of course, today we're going to introduce our new accounting solution. Quickly, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rick Cohen. I'm the VP of Product for Guesty. Join us today, Nadav Ravid, the business product lead on the accounting solution at Guesty, as well as two very notable property management companies. Please welcome Solvi Melex, the founder and CEO of Himalaya, Tyler Winger, owner of Copper Ridge Property Management. So thank you, Solvi and Tyler, for joining us, and thanks for the participation. We will begin our session today and discuss the state of the short-term rental industry. We have some pretty cool data to share with you today, and we'll then have a live demo of the accounting product, which will be followed by some super exciting presentations from both Tyler and Solvi. And then we'll kick off a live panel discussion and conclude it with an interactive Q&A where we're going to be featuring questions from our audience today, from you guys. So this is the agenda for today, but I'd like to begin with addressing the assertion that recovery is en route worldwide. In the US, we're not only seeing a massive 270% increase from last summer bookings, we're also seeing an 80% jump from reservations volume from summer 2019, pre-COVID-19. So you can see this number down on the left corner, 80% jump from reservation pre-COVID, which is a pretty staggering number. And it signifies that the people aren't just ready to get back to travel as usual, but they're actually craving travel after over a year, maybe, of staying home. The UK too is showing promise. This summer outperforming last year by 700%, and the pre-COVID numbers by 22%. And even in the Southern Hemisphere, the trend that we're seeing is pretty similar. It's jumping 226% from last year and 12% from the pre-COVID numbers. Pretty nice numbers for us as we bounce back. We predict that reservation volume and pricing will continue to climb due to the increasing demand of travel. And not to mention that, private rentals and is the optimal accommodation choices for families and unvaccinated children. So we see that trend expecting to boost this trend that we're seeing. We saw that domestic travel is in the rise during COVID-19, and the trend is still continuing. You can see here some very interesting numbers on domestic travel. In the US, the share of domestic travel, which was always been high, to be fair, is up 12% from this year, than it was pre-COVID. And in fact, 90% of the reservation in the US are made of domestic travelers. And in the US, it was easier for professional hosts to pivot for domestic travelers because there were many already targeting this audience before. This, plus the lax restrictions and more rapid vaccine distribution, this has resulted in the country recovering more quickly than others. In the UK, the share of domestic travel almost doubled this year compared to pre-COVID, and it was increasing by 76%. And this was much a newer trend in the UK compared to what we just discussed on the US. And not only due to the implementing of lockdowns late and in the slow vaccination distribution, but also because targeting the domestic travelers was not the norm in the UK for many property management companies. And they had to drastically change their marketing strategies. And this is the same also for Australia, where the share of domestic travel is up 40% compared to pre-COVID. But also, like in the UK, the targeting domestic traveler was not the norm, and managers had to make drastic changes to their marketing strategies. And now, after over a year of travel shortage, The current booking numbers support the prediction that the end of COVID-19 will coincide with the travel rampage, and the reservation volume stronger than it was pre-pandemic. The short-term rentals are the accommodation of choice for those planning their revenge trips, travel trips. We're seeing overall price increases of 30% in the US, 22% in the UK, and as much as 83% in Australia, price increase. This means that hosts will be able to recoup some of the losses from last year, and it's good news for all of us. So, with more bookings, you will need to ensure that your operations are running smoothly, which leads us to Guesty. Guesty was built with the understanding that professional hosts and property management companies have tons of tasks to accomplish on a daily basis. You know, whether it's listing distribution, staff management, report creation, guest communication, Guesty's software provides solutions that help you automate these tasks. These automations save so much valuable time so you can scale your businesses without sacrificing the quality, which is probably most important for you, and it's key. And throughout COVID-19, you guys used more than 15 different automation features to streamline and centralize your operation. And this has been a massive asset for property management companies. It made it much easier for you to quickly pivot your business, work remotely, and function with leaner teams. And one of the most time-consuming and prone to error tasks that property management has to deal with is accounting. And since everyone needs to handle their accounting, we thought it was only natural for us to automate these processes as well. So now, I would like to pass it to Nadav Ravid, the business product lead of the accounting solution for Guesty, to showcase our automated trust accounting compatible solution.
I'm Nadav. I'm the product manager involved with accounting. I'm very happy to be here with you guys and discuss accounting. So accounting by Guesty. I think eventually when I started working in Guesty a few years back, it kept coming up again. We need accounting, we need accounting, we need accounting. And it took me some time to understand that accounting in the property management industry is very different than what it is in a lot of other industries. Few industries are struggling with similar financial complexities, and this makes your job harder and makes you spend more time on the nitty-gritty stuff of managing your ledgers, which is not exactly what you would like to do. It requires dedicated personnel, it requires time, it requires attention to details. And I think if there's one word to describe it, is that managing your money, it costs a lot of money. And that's definitely something where a property management software like Guesty can help you with. Basically, our best-in-class accounting solution handles a lot of things. Over the next 10 to 15 minutes, we'll go over everything here from trust accounting, double entry bookkeeping, owner accounting, and journal entries and whatnot. I would like to start with a few of the challenges that we've seen property managers face. And I think the first one is that the market is definitely not standardized. If you're operating two properties in two different cities or states, you're operating under different regulation and different requirements. That makes it very, very hard. And more so than that, eventually there are so many people and factors and entities coming into the financial world of property management. When you think about it, you can have one reservation for $100, which is one night. And that $100 can be distributed between 10 to 15 different business entities. That's insane. The amount of work you have to do to, track every cent and who does it belong to, and it's managed properly in your account and basically disbursed properly to every entity. That's a lot of work. And not even to mention regulations and the fact that reservations are not simple transactions. This is not buying some cool appliance on Amazon. When you buy it, you pay for it, you get it. You book a reservation months, years ahead. You pay for it ahead of time. You have multiple transactions in it, and everything needs to be managed by you. Um, and I think the biggest eventual challenge property managers are facing is that you're managing someone else's money. And that's a big responsibility, not to mention a huge liability. Eventually, you're holding in your bank accounts a lot of money that belongs to someone else. And you don't want to make a mistake. This is not a case where you can say, okay, $100 is, I don't know where the $100 went, and that's fine. Maybe it's fine if it's your money and you're willing to, lose $100. But if it's someone else's money, I'm not sure they're going to be okay with you losing them $100. So taking all of this to mind, I kind of want to move into Guesty itself. Our vision when building our accounting product was not reinventing accounting. That's definitely not what we want to do. People have been doing accounting for many, many decades, and we have no aspiration of changing the accounting world. However, what we feel we are able to do and hope that we can provide you is making accounting simple. Um, this is an area of your business which can be automated, can take a lot less time, can be easier for you guys, and much more accurate. Um, so when we started building our solution, really simplicity was what we had in mind. And in order to introduce simplicity, we basically went ahead with the first product that we decided to build, which was the business model. Now, the business model is what you'll say the brain of the operation. Eventually, a lot of your day-to-day work is recurring transaction that keeps coming in and out of your accounts, basically. So, for example, and I'm just jumping into one of our demo accounts, and we'll see a business model as an example. Um, we're asking you two very simplistic, natural questions. Who gets the income that comes into your account, and who pays the expense that goes out of your account? We're trying to talk not in debits and credits and those really confusing accounting terms to some of you. We're trying to simplify the process. So for every transaction that goes for Guesty, you'll be able to set up who gets what and who pays for that, whether it's the accommodation fare, which is obviously most of the income that comes into the account, whether it's for confirmed, cancel reservation, and cancellation fees by themselves, cleaning fees. Obviously, it's always a little bit complicated because you have to say, who's getting the money for the cleaning fee. Obviously, the person who's doing the cleaning, whether it's the property manager, the owner, or the cleaning vendor, but most of the time there's going to be a markup there. So you should, so that markup should go somewhere. And that's an example of a transaction that gets separated into three different transactions. The guest pays it, and then it moves into the vendor, and then it can move to the property manager, etc. Taxes, you have to keep track of all the taxes and who remits it. Sometimes you remit it, sometimes the owner remits it, sometimes Airbnb remits it. It can be difficult to track everything. Additional fees that you may be selling, right? So additional bed with the early check-in and parking, all of those extra things. Every one of those represents another transaction, another amount of funds that goes into your account and it has to be distributed somewhere else. And those are just the reservation transactions that are between the guest and you and everyone else. But what happened with the owner transactions? Most of you are charging the owners recurringly each month for whether it's expenses or services that you provide. So in this example that we have right here, we've set up a recurring owner charge that allows you basically to automatically charge the owner without having to do it manually each time. So if we're looking at homeowners association, for example, right, that's a fixed amount that you need to pay every month on the owner's behalf, and there's no reason not to automate it. So in this case, we can see that there is a homeowner association and the owner pays for it and it goes into the property management account. Same thing can be said for paying processing fees. I mean, when you get a credit card and you charge the guest for it, you're paying a fee to the payment processor. If it's Stripe, it's 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, 3.1, depending on your deal with them. But this is probably something that you would like the owner to pay for. So if you so in Guesty, you're able to set up a very easy recurring owner charge that charges that amount to the owner and moves that money to the property manager to make sure that you're covered there. And once you configure this, you don't have to worry about anything again. Um, and the third example that we have here is those services that you provide the owners themselves. So, for example, if you're taking a monthly management fee or a service fee or a subscription fee sometimes to your services, that's also something that you can easily do. And the same thing can be said about expenses. So, channel commission, who pays for it? That's critical, right? For every reservation coming in from whether it's Airbnb or Booking.com or VRBO, someone is paying for it. And it's important to track who's paying for it. And any expense that you may have in mind. So because I can talk about accounting for very, very long, and they're not allowing me to do so, I'll jump forward. And basically, what I want to show you is how accounting looks on a proper reservation in Guesty. Now, this example is for a reservation that is using the business model we just seen. And it's a demo account, so obviously it's not realistic, but it's an example of the capabilities of the system. You can see here there's a reservation for around $2,500, including parking and additional bed and early check-in. Eventually, when you look at such a transaction, if you are doing your accounting manually on Excel spreadsheets or Google Docs or whatever, it's a lot of work. You're either ignoring all the transactions and just looking at the total, or you're doing really, really work and looking at each line. In Guesty, you don't have to worry anything about it at all. Once you've set up your business models, our preset accounting system, and what I mean preset is that our chart of accounts is preset, and all of the debits and credits are already configured for every transaction. You don't need to think about it. We've worked with consultants and experts from the industry to create a best-in-class trust accounting compatible system. So as you can see here, our folio has advanced deposit. Well, we have assets and liabilities accounts. Obviously, our asset accounts are cash, and our liabilities are advanced deposits, which is the guest account. The accounts payables, which can be the vendors or the property management company itself, if you're moving money from your trust account to your operational account, and the owner's account, which is obviously very important. There are also some smaller ledgers there, but I'm not going to get into it in this discussion. But the basic notion of Guesty is that every transaction that happened within the reservation, whether it's the accommodation fee or the additional bed, the system knows how to look into the business model you configured and basically create those debits and credits accordingly. So if we look at a small example here, you can see the cleaning fee here in just $150. If you remember on the business model, there's a $15 markup that goes to the property manager, and the rest goes to the vendor, which was Alex Cleaning. And if you look at the ledger itself, basically, you can see that there are payments from the guest, and you can see that the guest is due services because the check-in is all only August 5th, and we haven't recognized anything yet. But you can already see how the pending journal entries here for cleaning fee look like. So you can see that the vendor, Alex Cleaning, is going to get $135, and the property manager is going to get $15 for it. And that's without doing anything yourself. Now, obviously, creating the journal entries and all of the data, it's one big part of it. But eventually, if you're thinking about what's the value of accounting, accounting is about answering questions. How much money do I need to pay? How much money do I need to pay to myself? How much money do I need to pay to an owner? How much money do I need to pay to a tax entity? Eventually, reporting is what accounting is about. So that's basically what we have, the posting journal. Guesty has always provided a very customized, a very easy to use reporting system. And accounting is the same. And it's coming from the concept that this is your data, this is your ledgers, your numbers, you have full control on it and full visibility into it. So it's a fully customized, filtered view of all the ledgers that you have. So for example, if I just jump into an already ready view, these are all the journal entries for the listing that we just saw. And you can see really everything. So remember, there's the money the guest pays for cleaning fee and taxes and everything. And because we don't have a lot of time, I'll just jump into the pre-configured report, just an example of what you can create from it. So for example, if you want to look How much money the property manager is making. That's easy. All you have to do is look at your accounts payable ledger, and the vendor is PMC, and you can easily see how much money you're making. And you can even filter it down, whether it's for specific listings, specific dates, or basically everything you want. You can create any report that you want from our system. You can also customize the columns, decide what kind of data you want to see here, and you can sort and basically move around the columns as you see fit. And this is a really, really important functionality because eventually you are going to be syncing your Guesty accounting data with your operational accounting data. And the way to do that is by simply creating the reports that you need and exporting a CSV from Guesty, which you can do in one click. Again, for any report that you built yourself. So jumping forward, obviously, our preset accounting system anticipates that we'll be able to automate and know exactly what to do for 85–90% of the transactions, but accounting is a creative domain, and sometimes things need to be tweaked a little bit. So you also always have full ownership and full access and full edit options to your own accounting data. You're able to add manual transactions. So whether you want to charge the owner for electricity, for example, you're able to do so. Whether you want to move money from one folio to another, from a guest to guest, from an owner to owner, etc. Posting a payment, obviously, the payment that goes out of the trust account. You're also always able to credit and debit anyone you want. So for example, if you want to credit the owner, you made a mistake, you want to give them some money, or you want to debit them because they made a mistake and you want to take some money, you're always able to do it in Guesty. And obviously, you also have the almighty tool, which is creating journal entries yourself. Fully customized, you're able to tag them to any reservation listing you want. This is very useful when there are certain scenarios, really edge cases that happens one in a blue moon, and it's not automated, but you need to fix it. You can do so using Guesty. To move on, I'll move to the last section. So obviously, accounting is it's a lot of work and a lot of reports and a lot of journal entries, but eventually you are working with owners that you manage their apartments, and owners do not understand spreadsheets, or they don't want to, and they don't understand debits and credits. You need a simple way to communicate with the owner how much money they're making and for what. And also a simple way to increase the trust the owner has in your business. This is where the Guesty owner statements come into play. Now, Guesty owner statements are generated automatically every month for every owner that you set up the system for. So you really don't need to worry about it anymore once using Guesty. So for example, if we look at our the same owner that we've been looking at so far, which was Ben Simmons, and we are looking at the December 2020 owner statement, just because it's the one I've prepared. So in Guesty, you have a full management ability for the owner statement. You can manage the status of the statement. You can regenerate it if you update the journal entries, and you can send it from the system directly to the owner. You can send it to the owner's portal where the owner can view it always get back to it, always download it, or you can send it by email if you want to, directly from Guesty. You can obviously also do it in batch. So you don't have to do it one by one. We don't want you wasting your time. And eventually the owner statement that the Guesty system generates, again, fully automated. You don't need to do anything here. It's very detailed, very easy to understand. The owner gets a full visibility into what happened that month for all of its properties. So the first page that we show is a summary of all the information that happened, all the financial transactions, and what's the net that the owner is going to get. Each page afterwards is a breakdown for each property. So if you remember the homeowners association that we set up in the business model, it appears here out of the box. You don't need to do anything about it. You configured it once 7 months ago, and that's it. It's running Sense there. And you can also have like I said, the manual charges for water and septic, electricity, management fees, the amount that they get for reservations, etc. And in the end, there may be some transactions that are not even related to a specific listing, right? So let's say you provide consultancy service to an owner. He has 7 listings. You're not charging him for one specifically. So you can also have that there. And eventually, the real value of the owner staging system in Guesty is saving you a lot of time and increasing the trust the owner has in your business, and basically saving you money.
Thank you very much, Nadav. That was a beautiful demo. And Solvi, let's get it going. Solvi from Himalaya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Solvi Melax. I'm the CEO and founder of a property management company in Iceland called Himalaya. The company was founded in 2017, even though I've been renting a little bit before that. At the moment, it hasn't always been like this, but at the moment, we are only servicing high quality properties in large complexes, like multiple apartments in one location. We do not accept any individual listings like we used to have a lot before. All of our properties are owned by professional investors, and then all of them are self-check-in properties. We have around 130 properties at the moment. Just to tell you a little bit about Iceland, it's a very tiny country with a population of 350,000. We are both outnumbered by whales and sheep, which is quite interesting. And then we had in 2018, 2.3 million tourists. And then 2/3 of the population live in Reykjavik. So like Omri was saying before, domestic traveling was helping in the US and UK and Australia. That didn't exist in Iceland. You know, you have 2/3 of the population in Reykjavik. You have 80% of the hotels in Reykjavik. People don't go on a holiday within their own city. So basically most of the hotels were closed, and it has been pretty tricky in COVID. Then at the same time, we have been lucky regarding COVID because we have been considered COVID-free. There have been relatively few cases. Our government has been dealing well with it. And one of the main reasons for that is that we are an island and we are very isolated, and it's super easy to control the borders. We have a very busy season ahead. Basically, everyone is vaccinated, kind of. Between 80 and 90% of the people who are planning on vaccinating are vaccinated. And the borders are open, and you can come to Iceland as long as you are vaccinated. The reason why people are coming so much to Iceland now is the easy access to nature. That people have been stuck at home and they want nature, fresh air. Iceland is a good location for that. What's also helping us quite a bit is that we do have an active volcano, and it's about half an hour away from the city. I can even sometimes see it outside my window in the kitchen. It's right between the airport and the capital city. And even when the planes come in, they try to take a small circle to just see, there's the volcano, by the way. You might want to go and see it. Then for us as a property manager in apartments, we had over about 4,500 apartments in 2018. And there are less than 2,000 now. There are about 1,700. So there's a lot less competition. If you now dive into accounting, just how Nada has gone through the business models. I just want to say a little bit on how we do it. So we try to categorize them and try to make one business model that fits as many customers as possible. But very often the customer has like some small tweaks of they want something different. But it's always a management fee. The guest pays the cleaning fee, it comes to us. Then we do have a transaction fee, and then we take a 5% direct booking fee of everyone as well. And these two last fees are actually very good. And the reason is that if you're meeting a property owner, he will definitely negotiate on the management fee. That's always the part they negotiate on. But it's very rare that someone says like, this transaction fee, I'm going to negotiate, because it isn't negotiable. You're paying a fixed fee to a third-party service, and you're just moving the cost to the owner. He has to pay it anyway somewhere. Then we do offer like breakfast, day checkout, fines, and I'm just showing it's a small screenshot here from the system that has gone through all this, just how it helps us to split the cost. So we don't have to manually see, okay, we made sure there was a part of this accommodation was breakfast. We need to charge the guest, it goes to this vendor, not to the owner, etc. That's all done automatically. We use this report. I feel again I'm repeating a little bit, but the thing is here that you create the report once. It's a lot of data. It's super complicated. Then you export it, you tweak it a little bit, you import it into the accounting software, which is in our case Xero, and it becomes super simple for the owner. The owner just knows this is the management fee, this is the total fee I'm paying you. And yes, and then if we do have other costs with different VATs, we sum them differently in Guesty. Guesty helps us with that, and then we would have different lines in the bill. We always create just one bill for the entire property. And it doesn't matter if it's one apartment or if it's 50 apartments. So what's different from now and how we did it before? First of all, it is simplicity. It is a lot simpler than it used to be before. I'm very happy that I'm not using my Google Sheet document with over 10,000 lines. It can be chaotic. And then also when you have a document that's this big, you do not allow anyone to touch it. It's completely mine. I keep it as mine, and no one comes close to it, which is never good. When it's all in the system, like in Guesty, it definitely increases transparency, and the likelihood of errors is a lot lower. Talking about the owner, when the accounting is so much simpler for the owner, it reduces the cost quite a lot for them. And we can see this being a very big number, actually, where they would be paying quite a relatively large percentage of the entire accommodation fare to an accounting firm like KPMG or Deloitte or something. Now we are taking most of the hassle out of this firm and just simply sending them once a month. This is what happened last month. And then if they need more information, we can export and send them whatever they want. Otherwise, they can just check the owner statement, which is like it's more complicated than the invoice, but it's still a simplified version of what's happening behind the scenes. This results in less communication with the owner. So, which is at least different communication. You're not constantly answering questions and looking into the sheet. They can find the information themselves. They have the information. They can just look for it. They don't need to contact you all the time. And it definitely increases the trust. That's no question. It's time saving, and it's not just time saving, it's time saving at the highest possible level within the organization. And in my company, that is me, it means that I am spending a lot less time on this. It takes me hours instead of days. And it's also something you can do more recurring throughout the month. It's not something you wait, and then you export, and then you have your Google Sheets and that your little baby you have to take care of it. It's more something that's just ongoing. You may need to make sure things are up to date. What I have done in my case as well is that I have outsourced a part of the work I did. I cannot outsource a part of a work that's within a Google Sheets with 10,000 lines. Maybe it's possible, but I didn't want to do it. But now when I'm done doing a part of it, I send it to my accountant. He then finishes, and then I pay off. So I think this is something it would at least not have been that simple without a proper solution. We are planning on connecting Zapier with Guesty through Google Sheets. We haven't. It's on our to-do list. We haven't done it yet, but I think it could be a solution that really works. I've now gone through what I was going to tell you, what I like about the solution and how it's working for us. If you have any questions, you feel free to contact me. You have my contact information here. Otherwise, thank you very much. Over to you, Omri.
So happy to see that you guys are enjoying the software and making the best out of it. You've been a great partner. Thanks for this beautiful presentation too. And the pictures are stunning. And it's just the beginning. I want to welcome Tyler here.
Well, we're a little different from where Solvi is. I'm in the US. I'm in Moab, Utah. If anybody's ever been to Moab or seen Moab, we're sandwiched right in between two of the I think well, I'm partial, but two of the best national parks. Arches National Park, which has 2,000 natural arches that occur from wind and water and everything like that. And then we're surrounded by these big red cliffs. This is not my photo, but one of my favorite photos. A place called Fisher Towers, just a few minutes from where all of our rentals are currently. We're a little bit different than Solvi. We're a smaller group. This is just a few of us. I have a fair amount of cleaners and a business partner, but we have 18 full service rental units that we look after. Currently, all 18 are all in the same complex. They all have individual owners. They're all fully furnished, big 3-bedroom, 2-bath places with kitchen and bathrooms and place for families to spread out. Really a great base camp, if you would, for people while they're coming to the desert area to sleep at night, hang out, enjoy the pool after being in the desert, get the dust off and relax. So we have 18 that we look after full service wise. And then we do a lot of contract work with other people that are looking to get into the market. There's not a large amount of property managers that are down in Moab. So we kind of feel like we're growing rapidly. And I think Guesty's been a good solution for us. So we are in Moab. Like I said, we're just minutes from Arches and Canyonlands National Park. If you've ever been to the US or you've seen Delicate Arch, which is the big one that it's all over Instagram and everything like that, it's probably 15-20 minutes away from the condos where we look after. So we're sandwiched right in between a couple of the Colorado River, the Green River, rock climbing everywhere. It's a desert or an adventure kind of paradise, base jumping and everything like that. So I have no volcanoes, just big desert cliffs. So, but we before Guesty, we were kind of a semi-trust accounting. We had to reach out to other people. My background is from the hotel world, so I'm used to big P&L statements that turn into a week or 2-week or 3-week process of revisions and back and forth and prelims and owners and everything like that. And we noticed that with the short-term rental industry, things were just kind of somewhat inconsistent. We weren't confident in our data 100% like you are with an integrated full service accounting solution, and Guesty and has really solved the headache for us. We definitely noticed that, and before looking back, there were missed recurring charges, missed HOA dues, missed quarterly deep cleans or extra services that we were providing to our owners that just weren't making it onto the statements. You're relying on, in a smaller operation, you're relying on either a notebook that you carry around that you write everything down and you hope that nothing ever happens to the notebook, or you're relying on the operating account bank receipts to go back at the end of the month and hopefully make sure that you remember that the box of whatever was for this unit and gets to billed to that owner, and I did it in the correct month, and I've offset the expense to be reimbursed and everything like that. It's just a nightmare. So I like the picture. This is Mesa Arch, just a few minutes away from us. Beautiful to look at. We were really pretty with the accounting before Guesty, but I think if you go off the cliff there, it was a little scary. So we're definitely, I'd say, I think the next photo has allowed me to relax a little bit more. So with Guesty, we have an audit with an outside accounting firm that's there. Our owner statements are definitely getting delivered earlier to our owners. Things have been consistent. As a smaller property manager, I can tell you I'm actually on vacation right now while we're doing this. But we're able to spend a little bit more time relaxing and not so worried about the day-to-day nuts and bolts of making sure that, like Solvi said, the giant 10,000 line Excel spreadsheet, things are simplified. Recurring charges are taken care of. You set it up once, you're not worried about it down the road. And then each is customizable to the specific listing. We're not a traditional box management company where we say, if you don't fit in the box, we're not interested in you. I'll work with you on just cleaning. I'll work with you just on your rate strategy. I'll work with you on everything in between. And the experience with the accounting system really allows you to customize depending on the owner or the listing or the city, depending on how it is there. So this is a typical owner statement. This was one of ours from last month that we produced out. I'm excited because tomorrow morning I'll wake up, I'll log into Guesty, and all my owner statements for June will be finished. I'll spot check the work and check on things, but other than that, they're taken care of. So I really have gone from days of preparation down to just a few hours of checking and making sure. And I want to say that they really have done a great job of, I haven't found mistakes. I haven't found weird, erroneous journal entries that don't make any sense. It's really been thought through properly. It's eliminated, of course, the repetitive monthly tasks of trying to pull from all the different channels to make sure that I had this ledger, this legal pad on my desk that I would go down every month and I would check the box and say, okay, I pulled from here, I've got it all there. I don't have to worry about it. The notebook is in the drawer now. And what I think is one of the best things, and what we've heard back from our owners, is that they love being able to have the owner's statement and the data that comes along with it, that you guys have seen in the demo, right in the same portal and the same ecosystem, where they're able to see their current calendar, see how much money they've made for the quarter, or the year, or per month, or anything like that. At the end of the day, they like you as a property manager, but they're there to make money. And if you can make it convenient for them and it's all in the same system and they have one login and they get an email, all the better. So there's I'm back to my favorite picture. If you've ever spent much time in the mountains or climbing or skiing or whatever the task is, whether it's whitewater rafting, there's things that you need to worry about. You want to make sure that you always have the right gear. You don't want to be worried about buying something cheap that's going to fall apart after the first use. You want to make sure that you have the right people in place. And of course, the reason why we climb mountains and go down rivers is for the beautiful view, to be able to enjoy it. Not everybody's just there to build muscles and rip their hands up on the rocks and everything like that. So it's important to have kind of, I think, those three things. There's an old infomercial, and if anybody's on the US here, there was an old one. I'm not super old, but there was an infomercial. It was called the Ronco Rotisserie Oven. And there was a guy, he had this big white hat on, and it's this oven that came out on the thing, and he put this full chicken on it, and he'd roll the chicken into the oven, and he'd turn the timer on, and he'd season it, and he would say, okay, and he'd always turn back to the audience. And the idea was that you can put the chicken in the oven and not have to worry about it ever again. And the tagline was always set it and forget it. And he'd repeat back to the audience would repeat back to him, and he'd turn the timer, and it was good. And it stuck with me. And really, I think that's what Guesty has provided, a set it and forget it. And I will collect a royalty on that line, but a set it and forget it accounting solution is set it up individually for each one of your owners. It's fully customizable. And I'd say maybe set it and spot check it, or set it and forget it / spot check it down the road. But the biggest takeaway for me from working with Guesty so far is it's a very custom experience. I have owners that are at 15%, 20%, 25%, 22%. Each one of those business models that Nadav talked about, I'm able to set up. It produces on the owner statement perfectly. And really what it's allowed me to do is elevate the conversation and the relationship with my owners, to not be worried about, let me understand what happened with this specific cancellation fee or this specific reservation during this month, and why are we so far below. It's allowed me to elevate the discussion and say, hey, do you know what? There's another unit for sale in the complex. I really think you should take a look at it. It'd be very easy to add it on. It's in the same portal. Look what we can do. The consistency there, it's just elevated the discussion. And I think as a smaller property manager, your time is best spent in the units. It's not sitting behind an Excel spreadsheet for days and then kind of coming out of the cave after 3 or 4 days of working on owner statements and then meeting your team and the cleaners back, and you kind of have this rinse cycle every 30 days that you do. It's allowed me to spend a lot more time in and around the units, in and around my cleaners, in and around the maintenance people that I work with. And it's really added a discussion with potential other people, people that are in the complex, additional, I call them prospective owners. So really allowed me to focus my time on what matters most. I appreciate the time. I hope here's my contact details. If anybody would like to visit offline outside of Guesty, I'm happy to visit. You can check us out. I hope if you're ever in Moab or you ever come to Arches or Canyonlands National Park, I hope I don't find you staying in a hotel somewhere. I hope you'll stay with us. Email and website there if you have any questions, but I really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Tyler. That was a great presentation. When I was talking to property management companies and I visited some of the offices and I visited some of the great places that you guys are showing here in your presentation, and I said, guys, I envy you. You work in the best environment ever, vacation and these beautiful places. And then you go and say, yeah, but we have all this accounting stuff to do and manual and all that. So now that it's solved, we can continue on enjoying one of the best professions out there. Thank you guys for sharing. Thank you, Tyler, for joining us here during your vacation. Truly appreciate it. And thank you, Nadav, for the demo. From here, we're gonna start a panel discussion. And I think that if we go to the first question that we have prepared for you, I think, Tyler, you started addressing it, and I want to bring it back to you for just to complete your thoughts here. But the idea is in this discussion, in the first discussion that we have, is to try to understand what are the approaches that we have when we're working with owners. Do we want to do templates of business models that can suit tens and hundreds of properties at the same time, and you set it and forget? On one hand, I think this is more of the way Stove is working because he has so many properties to manage. And on the other hand, we have Tyler here, which is more of a boutique where he customizes each and every plan to work with different owners and creating this customizable solution. So going back to you, and Tyler and Solvi, we'll start with Tyler. What is the approach exactly that you're taking here, and how can you leverage the Guesty product in order to serve it?
Yeah, I'm definitely, I think I alluded to it a few minutes ago. I'm definitely a custom. I will work with the individual. I'm not a texter. I'm not an emailer. I'd rather pick up the phone and visit with you or visit with you face to face. A lot of the owners that I deal with, of course, this is a vacation home for them. This is not a full investment property. It's decorated by, husband or wife, and this is where they like to come and spend a month out of the year, and the other 11 months of the year they want it rented out and taken care of. So each one of the relationships that I approach is totally custom with each of the owners and the units. Of course, we try to do some things that are standardized. Like I know based on the size of the unit, there's a one set cleaning fee. But definitely with the accounting system allows me to customize the experience. Some things are going to be standard across the board, commissions, processing fees, whatever else. But actually my take as a property manager, or if I've set up in order to win the business and maintain the relationship, if I've set up hey, I'm going to give you a quarterly credit, or I'm going to give you some quarterly consulting fees or something like that, very easy to put into Guesty and take care of. So for me, I look at it and I go 18 units. I don't think I want 130 or 150. I think that might be a little much for a small team. I kind of like the small aspect, and of course the accounting makes it easy that I can focus on keeping it small. I can keep maintaining the relationship that I have with the owners and not be worried about trying to just maybe quality experience versus quantity. And I think the accounting helps on both ends.
How about on the kind of expenses or fees side? Do you have different cleaning teams, for example, where you need to customize their plans as well?
Yeah, so we do a few. The 18 that I listed is what we take care of. I call it the bread and butter, the core of our business. But we definitely have ones that we clean, take care of that are not listed. And the fees, expenses, and that sort of thing vary by unit. Some owners that we have like a deep clean done every quarter. Some owners want us to take care of certain things, and others want to be able to come down and it's their their second home where they want to bring the can of paint and paint the wall and keep it up to date. So it's really allows me to have a custom experience for each of them.
Thanks, Tyler. So going to you, Solvi, you have a different story here. You want to provide a boutique service and experience to your owners, but you have hundreds, so that's challenging. What is the approach that you're taking here?
Yeah, we focus on what we do, and we want to do the things the way we do and do it very well. So if you do not fit in, we don't want you. So if you're so we try to fit you in the box, and we say we believe it's the best way to do it. If you disagree, you want to do things very differently, you have a different approach, you want to have someone on site, you want whatever, we then say just fine, we don't think it's the best way, good luck. But then again, we are customizing a lot of things as well. You know, every owner is a little bit different. You can very easily say it, it's 130 properties, exactly the same. It's never the same. There's always something. Even if it's a cleaning fee, this one has someone wants to clean the apartments, doesn't want our cleaning service, wants different coffee than we have, wants to provide it not be charged, whatever. So the guest, it definitely comes in and helps. But in general, yes, we try to focus very much, and we want to grow, but within that sector and within what we are doing now.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to growth practices as one of the discussion points for us in this meetup. But I'd like to ask, since we're talking here about the owners and the relationship, you both mentioned being able to elevate the conversation with the owners, and we hear very peculiar requests from owners here and there. Some of them very old school, some of them working with tools that we've not working anymore. Some of them have different accountants that have different requests. What has the accounting system, the Guesty accounting product, helped in elevating that conversation?
I think for me, it's taken the stress out of it for the owners. It's simple. There's the data behind it. If they want to see the massive CSV files with all the debits and credits and accounts and chart of accounts and everything, I'm happy to show that to them. I have confidence in the solution that's in place. But for somebody that bought it as an investment property or vacation home and doesn't want to worry necessarily that I'm doing everything 100% correct, it's simple. They're not having to double check my work. The owner statement, something that our owners loved was being able to see each individual reservation. What does the management fee cost me? What does the cleaning fee cost me? What did we pay in taxes? What was the commission on this thing? All of that produces on your monthly owner statement, which is transparency. There's no longer the question of, oh, well, I see this much revenue on my portal, but the statement only shows this. They've got all the data below it to verify and to see it there. So really, it's changed that discussion for me from, we're not in the weeds and talking about the details. We're talking about how are you feeling? How is the rates looking? When are you coming back down to visit? And when can I take you to dinner and tell you thank you for your business, rather than worrying about the small details.
So you find it self-explanatory, the reports that they get, they don't come back with questions?
Yeah, I think the first month or two that we ran the owner statements out, they wanted a little bit of explanation between the owner's portal when they look at the calendar and shows per reservation, and how does that pair up with the statement itself. Again, I think owners need to understand what's happening, but they don't need to understand all the detail behind it. That's your job. That's what they're paying you for. If they want to see it, great. But again, the owner statement can be as customized as you want. It can be high level, 30,000 foot. Here's what you made. Here's what you paid me. And here's what's coming to your bank account in a couple of days. Or if you want to see exactly which reservation and how much it cost you, it can provide that as well.
So, Solvi, you're looking for to grow significantly, and you're looking for more and more owners. Has accounting been part of your pitch to new owners?
Yeah, definitely. But can I add to what Tyler was saying before?
Of course.
Because I agree with everything that Tyler is saying. But I want to say that there is also communication between us and the owner but that's the owner just goes into their own portal and gets the information they need. They do not need to contact me directly. So I'm feeding them with information, but I'm not doing anything. They just go into the system, they get it themselves. And then what we have been doing is that we have been meeting them at least twice a year. So we have made a plan. Okay, we're going to sit down with them, have a cup of coffee. This is the forecast for the property. This is how we see the next few months. These are our estimate. This is what you, and very often we are doing some calculations for them to send to the banks and whatever. So it changes the communication you have with the owner. It's not just less communication, it's just on a different level about different things.
Adding this, it's important. I think it's a valuable point.
Yeah.
I also wanted to see if it plays a role in your pitch as well as a property management company that is providing good services. Is part of your pitch that this is being automated and delivered to them.
We used to have 170 properties in the summer of 2018 or 19. They were not all year around like they are now. Some of them were for 2 weeks, some of them for a month, 2 months, and it was very chaotic. And the main thing we thought we would never be able to scale, and we were planning, like, we're not going to do this again. It was the accounting. Now I'm not worried about that. Even though we would double or triple the amount of units, our scaling problems will not be accounting. We will have some different scaling problems. But I'm not worried. The accounting solution scales very well. It is when you have found out how to use it, how you want to use it, how you communicate with the owners, etc. It should be very easy to scale. So I'm not worried about that.
Okay. Tyler, anything to add here on your when you approach new owners?
Yeah, I think being a smaller group, my time was of course very valuable because I try to spend my time in and around the units and working with my cleaners and making sure that the quality of the investment or the asset is up to speed. I've saved the days on the other end. I'm able to look at some properties and say, do you know what? I think I can help you on the cleaning front. I don't necessarily have to take care of all of your rates and your messaging and your owner statements and everything else. But if you want me to take care of cleaning or vice versa, if you want me to assist with your rate strategy and things like that, it's opened up time in order for me to grow. I don't think we'll ever get to 130. Maybe I'll look back at this presentation in 10 years from now and go, oh my gosh, what was I saying? But it's allowed me to keep it small and be more selective. I have my time back. Time is money, especially in this business. You want to make sure that you can get the guests out and the guests in, shortest turnaround time, and the most money coming back to the owner. And of course, it's mutually beneficial. They make money, you make money. But it's allowed me to be more selective on how I grow, rather than saying, oh man, I'm going to have 4 days at the end of the month that are just, I might as well just block and shut the door and nobody bother me while I figure all of this out. So it's allowed us to grow.
Thanks, Tyler. I think Solvi, you've also addressed this question already and showing how accounting fits into your growth aspirations. And now we're going to continue to a live Q&A. A question for Guesty: can we now invoice other services apart from accommodation, such as chef, massage, etc.?
Absolutely, yes. The Guesty additional fees feature was released last year. During the next quarter, it's going to be enhanced. So you're not only going to be able to invoice guests for reservation created in Guesty, but we'll also be syncing any additional fee that you have to the OTAs you're connected with. So you'll be able to, well, advertise your chef additional fees on booking.com or Airbnb.
Thanks, Nadav. I think another question here, I think we also discussed, but I'm quickly gonna ask and also answer, is every property able to be set up differently? As they're all in a different structure. So we've learned today that definitely yes, both Tyler and Solvi have different practices for addressing the different properties and the different setup that they have with their owners. So the answer
I I will add only that it's not only the ability to have a completely different setup for each property, but also the ability to group properties that have the same business model. The concept of the business model is that it represents your contract with the owner. So you're basically building contract templates, and it's just deciding which property uses which contract template.
Excellent. So you mentioned Zero as an accounting tool. There's a question here on QuickBooks, which are quite similar. Do we sync with these tools?
So one of the critical things that it's important to understand about the Guesty tool is that it's a hybrid solution. We're not here to compete with Zero or QuickBooks, or definitely not replace them, right? We're giving the missing piece that it's missing from those softwares that you guys need. So of course, there is a way to sync with QuickBooks and Zero and Sage. This is the vision of our product. This is the way it was built. Right now, we're offering you the ability to export the CSVs that you need and import them into the accounting software that you use, like Solvi does with Zero. And in the future, our goal is to have a complete integration that will work behind the scenes, so you won't even have to do that.
So cool. Another question here from the audience. Paying an owner a net fee. Could we have an automated payment process via Guesty or Stripe, i.e. all owners have a separate section under owners where bank details are stored?
So very good question. This is actually our Q3 plan in accounting. We're building a new payouts product that will basically allow you to create disbursements and withdrawals from the ledger balances that you have in accounting. We're in the first phases of planning it out, but it's very exciting. We're thinking that the first part will enable you to do what's called an EFT, which is an electronic fund transfer, also known as wire transfers or ACH in different parts of the world. We have some very cool ideas in this. Obviously, part of the plan, Q3 is the first step there.
Yeah, I think another question here around this topic is the owner report based on booking received or funds received? For example, Airbnb releases funds on day of check-in, whereas PDC releases funds the day after checkout. How do we handle this?
Okay, so it's critical to understand that Guesty does accrual accounting. We do not do cash accounting. This means that we recognize revenue in journal entries at the time of the recognition of revenue when services are provided to the entity that gets those services. This means that the recognition of revenue is not directly connected to the payment, right? We have the cash ledger that recognizes the cash going into the trust according to when the payment is made, but the actual transaction, the recognition of when the owner is owed something or the guest is owed money or something, or you owed something, is done according to the revenue recognition that you define in Guesty.
Excellent. Session in accounting just as a software, but there's a deep thought of understanding accounting in order to provide this product. And we have a little bit more time for a few more, so I'm going to skim down. We handle maintenance and repair for our owners. Would we be able to charge them from within Guesty? On a step, so that's the first question.
Well, yes. So as we said, it's all about revenue recognition and moving money into the trust account, right? So if you're thinking about the trust account that you're managing with the money that comes in from auto reservation, eventually it's a bunch of buckets. You have bucket for each owner, bucket for each guest, a bucket for your own property management revenue, et cetera, et cetera. So we are able, using the business model, to have what's called a recurring owner charge if it's a charge the owner always pays for. So let's say you have a gardener coming in once a month to fix the apartment garden. Great, automatic owner charge. That's what it is. We'll move money from the owner bucket to your bucket or the gardener bucket. If it's an amount that you can't anticipate because it's dependent on usage, like electricity or water or something like that, then obviously it's a manual owner charge. You'll have to get the bill from the electricity or water company and add it manually to the system. Though I will say that we have very cool ideas on how to automate that process as well in the future. Hint, we're thinking about a Google Chrome thing, but never mind.
What if I have properties in different countries, Nadav?
Okay, so first of all, it's important to say we've seen. I've done the demo on an account that's configured in US dollars, but obviously Guesty supports any currency that you use, it's even if you use different currencies, it's also okay. Why? Because in Guesty we work on two hierarchies, or not just in Guesty, in the industry. You have the accounting hierarchy, which is how your company is working with whatever currency. Then you have the property hierarchy, whatever the property is working with. So in those cases, what happens is usually in Guesty, you always have an account currency and a property currency. All of the accounting reports, everything that happens in accounting is built on your account or your account currency, your company operating currency. However, the amounts that you get through the properties that are done in other currencies are also supported. What we do, we convert the amounts according to the time of the confirmation of the reservation, which is the time the contract on the transaction is signed.
I wanna just stop for 1 second again and thank you, Tyler and Solvi and Nadav for this great presentations and demo today and for your participation. I hope you enjoyed and this grew your interest. We're gonna ready to reach back to you if you need more information. Please write to us and we'll make sure that you'll get a demo or more information on accounting. We really hope that you're gonna be bouncing back with our industry and make a lot of money this year and this summer or wherever you are in the hemisphere. Thank you very much for your participation again and see you on the next one.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.